This is Joe Sonona with Sonona Speaks Seminars, and this is Coffee Talk with the listing pros in real estate. And my guest this week is Alex Monaco from Weichert Realtors in East Brunswick, New Jersey. How are you, Alex?
I'm good, Joe. Thank you so much, and thank you for having me.
So tell me a little bit about yourself. How did you get started in the business?
Sure. So I've been a realtor for almost 7 years now. I was working as a teacher actually in North Brunswick, and always had time after school. Was looking for something to do, and I saw on Groupon that you could get your real estate license for like $300 or something.
Oh,
And then I had a coworker at the time who said he was actually licensed. And I said, why not? I was getting my master's at the time, and that was the main thing I was doing. And I kind of did this as like an aside, thinking, you know what, it's inexpensive, it's easy, it's not too long. But in the long run, this became my main thing. And the masters I didn't get much use out of. So it's fine,
what did
whatever
you
works.
teach, if I may ask? What was your subject that you used to teach?
Science, special ed science.
I would have done real estate over science any day of the week.
Yep, yep.
So, in full disclosure to our audience, I want to just say briefly that I met Alex through a sponsored ad, I believe, on Facebook
Hmm.
or Instagram, one of those. And I reached out to him because I saw him listing up a storm everywhere. And I said, this is a guy who knows what he's doing. He knows exactly how to market a home. So one of the questions I ask on the show, and I wanted to get you on the show, and after some ups and downs of setting our appointments, we finally did it, and here we are. And now I'm going to ask you, Alex Monaco, what is the secret sauce to listing properties? What is your secret sauce?
Great question. If I had to put it into one word, I'm gonna say consistency. That's the truth. That's like the main thing I preach to people is whatever it is that you're doing. If you're targeting FISBOs or expireds or your sphere or whatever it may be, it's whatever you do, you have to be following up with people, like at least on a weekly basis. So that's what I do, and I target for sale by owners, and I try to just give them something of value every week that they're listed without asking for anything in return. Just simply being there, showing my face, showing that I'm diligent, and that you're going to get something from me every week. Then by the time they're ready to list with an agent, if they haven't sold, and then they appreciate what I've done for them.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And let me ask you, uh, how many listings would you say you've listed over the course of 7 years? Was it always that easy, or did it take some time?
No, no, it took me quite a lot of time. So I was really focused on buyers actually my first few years. Just thinking that a sale's a sale and it doesn't matter, how you get it, and that's okay. But then what I learned is that you have so much more leverage being a listing agent. It's a lot less time consuming than running around with buyers. You can generate leads from those listings as well, buyer leads. So then I started to transition my focus. Really, only like 2-3 years ago is when I said like, okay, I really need to focus on getting listings. So once I did that, it didn't take too long. It just took a matter of months to start generating like a stream of listings.
That is awesome. That is awesome. And what kind of technology do you use to market those listings?
Great question. I'm really big on social media. I think it's really important just to get it on every major outlet, to get your listings on Marketplace, like Facebook Marketplace. And I've joined a ton of local groups, like buy and sell groups, even like online yard sales, like in Facebook.
Oh, that's a good
And I
idea.
make sure that my listings go to all those places, and it sparks a lot of excitement with people. I get a lot of messages. People comment, they tag their friends. then I reach out to the friends, and I'll send them a request, and just kind of doing it that way. It's like online word of mouth. And I do all the usual stuff, sending out mailers, and of course putting it on all the major websites. But yeah, I'm really getting bigger and bigger into social media as time goes on.
Well, that's how I found you. So
Yep.
it's kind of how would you say, serendipitous, so to speak.
Right, right, yeah,
No, it's really good marketing because you're all over the place, and you're from New Jersey. I'm from New York, and look how we found each other.
sure.
And it's a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank
Um,
you.
so let me ask you, what kind of advice would you give to a new agent coming into the business?
I would say one thing that's really important I've learned is to make sure you have a really good CRM, that you kind of live in. Like you're very organized with your CRM, and everything sort of revolves around that. Every person you come in contact with, make sure they go in that CRM, as some sort of campaign, so that you're reminded to always stay in front of these people, because you meet so many people when you start doing this business. It's impossible to keep track of all the people. So if you have a system that's constantly telling you what to do, who to call, who to text, who to email, doing it for you, then you're gonna have a real leg up on people. And then the other thing, just generally, like I said before, is consistency. You need to dedicate time every week to prospecting, to reaching out to people you've had, and then generating new leads as well. You just can't get enough. Even if you're busy, you got to find time to do that.
Let me ask you, what CRM do you use for your?
KV Core.
Oh, you have KV Core. Nice,
Yes,
very nice,
yes, I
very
love
very
it.
nice. Yeah, so do I. I have it too.
Right.
It's really good. A lot of people use like Brian Buffini and the Buffini
Yes.
system. They have a CRM. So people use Lion Desk, just to name a few. But I think it's what you do with your CRM that
I
counts,
agree.
right? Yeah.
I agree.
And
I haven't tried all those, Chime, Buffini, but like I'm sure they're all good in their own way. And yeah, I agree. If you're organized with it and you're on top of it, the give or take with what one has over another other, I don't think matters. I think you got to just be organized.
do you think new agents coming into the business, how do you get started with a sphere of influence if you don't have anything? Like, do you think everybody has a sphere of influence and doesn't know it?
That's a great question, and I've been blessed to have a really good sphere of influence. A lot because of my wife. She knows a ton of people in the area. She's got a huge family, so I've been lucky to just have one built in that I've really gotten a lot of business from. But I would imagine that everyone does, whether they know it or not. Most people, everyone does something. You have a job, or if you don't have a day job, you have something that you do, and friends. To have nobody at all that you connect with, I don't think is very common. And if you really don't talk to people at all, then maybe this isn't the right business for you in the first place.
Like I was telling somebody, you can't be introverted to stay in real estate. You have to show that wild side about you and get that personality flowing so you could become more engaging.
True.
It just doesn't work. It doesn't work to be introverted. And if you have a nice, likable personality and you have a lot of friends and you're outgoing, can't be a secret agent, right, Alex?
Exactly. Yep. Yeah, you got to put
So
yourself out there if you like it or
So I
not.
gave you that ultimate question, what advice would you give to a new person? But what advice would you give to, if you could, to someone who's older in the business like myself? And if you could talk to them and just give them a little piece of advice that is helpful for them right now in 2020.
It's a great question. What I would say is, you might not have the tech skills that someone who's grown up with it has, and that's okay. But I would say that if you don't have them, you're gonna have to pay for them.
Yeah.
with cash. And you can go on like does that website Fiverr or Fiverr, I'm not sure how to say it.
Fiverr. Yeah, Fiverr.
Yeah, and like Fiverr is so good because you can just, whatever task you find out what tasks you need to do that are, as far as tech, whether it's social media, whether it's your website, your CRM, and you can just pay someone to do all that stuff for you. So yeah, you're at the disadvantage because you may not have all the tech stuff, as far as your ability, but I think to make up for it, you're simply going to have to pay for it, and which is fine because it's going to pay itself off.
You think that keep on investing in oneself is a great idea, even though we, as older agents in the business, we have a sphere of influence. What more do we need? Why do we need to invest in ourselves?
Right. Yeah, it's true. And it depends on your goals. I mean, I meet a lot of older agents who they have what they have. They do what they do. They know where their business comes from and the people they know, and they're okay with it. And like if that's where you are, that's fine. But for someone who really wants to grow and take their business to the next level, I think you will need to invest yourself to sort of scale things up.
That's a good answer. That really is a good answer. And a lot of older agents in the business, they do have that book of business. And I always tell them, look, no one gave you this position, to die in it, like um, it's an extended career that you have to stay in until you're about 80 or 90 years old, and then you get carried out of it.
Yep.
And then, a lot of older agents, that what they do is they take that same book of business and they give it to, let's say, a younger person in the industry, and half that book is deceased or moved on, and the other half, good luck with it. But they
Right.
get to sell it, I mean, in the hopes of selling it for a better price, and they get that residual income off of that book. I think that new older agents like myself learn from younger agents like you in the business who are trying and not afraid to try new methods. Like, you are all over the internet, and
Yep.
it's awesome. It really is. And like I said to the audience before, this is how I met you. So I'm happy to learn something new, that you have to really get your face out there. And I'm sure if I traveled to East Brunswick, I would see your face all over the place, and I would know who you are just by that branding alone.
Right. Right.
Good for you. Kudos to you.
Thank you.
So last question is the fiduciary responsibilities in real estate. If you had to pick one of the fiduciary responsibilities, obedience, loyalty, disclosure, confidentiality, accountability, reasonable care, which one would you pick if you had to choose one, Alex, and why?
Sure. I would go with loyalty. Lately, or I'd say in the last few years, I've really tried to like really act like I'm in their shoes. Because I buy houses myself, and then that's kind of what's made me think of it is, as I'm going through the transaction, it's like, how would the client feel? So
Interesting.
I kind of try and pretend, if you will, like that I'm the one buying the house. Like what would be all the things that I do? And once I've started to act that way, I feel like the clients can really feel it. They know that I'm not just trying to move along just to get to the closing table. If I see an issue, I'm stopping the deal. I'm saying, we can't move forward until we get this resolved. Even if they're saying, "Oh, it's okay, we'll deal with it." It's like, no, you shouldn't. And they appreciate that, and then going forward, they trust you a lot more. So and again, it's going to make them more likely to refer you to their friends. So even though you just have the attitude of let me help them, and I don't care what I get out of it, I don't care if I get a sale. That's all you're worried about, and then really in the long run you're going to make more money because of the referrals because people just appreciate that you cared for them.
It's true. And one of the items that keeps that loyalty intact is also a disclosure. There's a disclosure in there. And it's a good point that you said that before about not proceeding with the deal and telling your clients what must be done and having that sense to keep them protected. One of the items in New Jersey that I so love is your disclosure form, your property disclosure form. And here in New York, it's kind of it works against the homeowner because they have a law in New York, believe it or not. We have stupid, crazy laws all over the place, but especially in New York, only in New York, right?
Hmm.
Um, that the property disclosure statement, if you fill it out as a homeowner, genuinely fill it out and disclose to a new buyer what you've done, you're kind of putting yourself in a liability for up to 3 years after the closing. Whereas in New Jersey, if you fill it out, I'm told, it's sort of like a history of the home, right, given to the buyer, and you don't face that liability
Right.
as a homeowner. You're actually providing, if you will, a nice history to the buyer, and the buyer is probably more grateful that you gave that to them, right, in New Jersey.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the seller's disclosure. It saves us a lot of time, because when buyers, but you're buying a home, it's a big deal. We have mainly older homes around here. There's going to be a lot of things that they need to know about the home. And whenever a buyer is interested in one of my listings, the first thing the agent's going to say is, "Do you have the disclosure?" And it's going to answer so many of the questions that they have about that house. So it saves me time. I tell the sellers it'll save you time. We're not going back and forth trying to answer questions because it's all there in the disclosure. And yeah, we just preface it with, listen, you're doing your home inspection anyway. That's where you're going to get the bulk of your information about the home. But the disclosure is nice. It's a good thing to refer to, and yeah, I find that it doesn't make anyone feel nervous about liability. It does the opposite. It just makes buyers more comfortable with going forward.
In New York, it's crazy the way we do things as New York realtors, and maybe that's the reason why so many of us New York realtors are taking our New York licensing, because it's kind of better in New Jersey to sell real estate than it is here in New York with such crazy laws, disclosure this and disclosure that. But that one has always baffled me about the property disclosure. Why there was never that much protection, or between the attorneys. They what they did was they went into a room, and weren't any real estate attorneys in that room when that was changed here in New York, and
Right.
or when it was born, I should say. Crazy stuff.
Yeah.
And like 2020 has been, there's been a lot of crazy things, especially with COVID. How have you been able to handle the COVID situation in your business? Have the same PPE measures of open houses and what have you?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. We just, take, I would say, just all the typical measures, mask, gloves, we do booties. You have to sign a COVID form for a showing. Yeah, limiting how many people go see the house. So, they used to bring, grandma and the kids and sometimes cousins and all of that. It's principal buyers only for the most part. So, I'd just say it's like everything else that we're doing. So it hasn't affected us too much, fortunately.
Okay. And you came out of the quarantine and are doing excellent, or did you show your houses during quarantine virtually?
Yeah, we were doing a lot of virtual during the quarantine. We were showing houses a little bit, but it was definitely, a lot slower, for a couple months. And then once the floodgates sort of opened, it was crazy. I mean, in July and August, it was so busy, with you had a buildup of people that didn't do anything in April and May, and then yeah, it
Are
was a
you
very
running out of
busy summer.
inventory
So
there? Good inventory? Are you running out of inventory?
We've had low inventory. That's been the case for a while now. So it's still pretty low. So we're having a lot of bidding wars for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, this has been a real pleasure. It's been a real insight to your market in New Jersey. And I'm sure I gave you a little bit of insight into our market here. We have the same situation going on here.
Right.
And it's been a real pleasure to meet you in person here on Coffee Talk. And I look forward to many discussion and referrals coming your way if I get them coming your way. I
Likewise, Joe. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
This is Joe Sonona with Coffee Talks with the Listing Pros in Real Estate Sonona Speak Seminars. And my guest this week has been Alex Monaco. And I thank you very, very much for being on my show, Alex. And I look forward to seeing you soon.
My pleasure. You too.
Take care. Be
All
well.
right.